All right. Welcome back, everyone. This is Fish Home Improvement Part 2, the sequel. Sometimes sequels are better. I don't know.
Well, we'll soon find out, I guess.
I guess we'll find out. When we last left you, we were working on the Barely Fishing 2.4,
2.2 or 2.0, depending on who you talk to.
depending on who you talk to.
And we'd gotten the furnace installed.
Yep. So we did a few more things.
Or almost. No,
almost
we got
installed.
It, we got it, yeah.
Almost installed. So we'll go over what we finished up there. We started some work on Camp David, which is my shack.
Yep.
And that's Dave IT. Play on the presidential place too, Camp David, but
Sure.
call me the president. Without further ado, we're once again here to answer questions you might have, kind of go through some of the updates we're doing. This is a month-long series. Last time was pretty fun. So,
remember through this too, even though we did stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night, we are not trained professionals. If you feel free to, if you have ideas that we're maybe missing or better ways of doing something, by all means, let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So without further ado, this time, actually, I think I figured out how to get the video footage to play better for you guys, have a little bit better sound. I know that was an issue last time. Learning curve.
This is our second only podcast.
Right.
So
we'll get there.
So where do we start out now? Where do you got to start?
Yeah. So once again, we left off Barely Fishing 2.4.
2.0.
So we're going to revisit that, see where we left off. We essentially tore out the old unit, working on putting the new unit in. So we built a shelf for it. You can go back and watch that if you want to. But without further ado, let's get into this.
Old furnace. And we found out, at least from the magic marker on the top of the furnace, says 18,000 BTU. Couple different manufacturers, why different styles here. This is an Atwood, this is a Suburban. 35,000 BTU, 18,000 BTU. Now this one here, the firebox, you kind of see it a little bit in there. Okay. And then on this one, this is your firebox in here. Anyway, long story short, very tiny, a lot bigger. This is going to heat that 22-foot shack a lot better. And we're also going to do some ducting. Now, one thing with a lot of these fish houses, well, most all of them, they put the furnace underneath the stove, they kick out of a few ducts in the front of the stove, and there's nothing going to the back of the shack. So what we're going to be doing here in the next episode or two is we're actually going to run ducting like I have in my shack all the way back to the back of the house from the furnace. That way it distributes heat all the way through. Floor is so much nicer. Ice, I wear socks in my fish house. I don't have shoes on usually, but
so yeah, with that, what do you got for smelly socks? Just kidding. We did get a question in here. I'll pop this up on the screen.
So in situations like a fish house, you really can't go a standard BTU. Obviously, the more the better. Standards BTU for square footage, there is a equation. You can figure that out for most houses. We're setting this on ice with open holes on top of the ice, letting that cold come right in. So
if you don't bank your house right.
Well, true. Different episode.
Right.
But so here,
we're comfortable on the floor. It's just nice and comfortable in the shack. So it's heated all the way through. You don't have cold spots. That's what we're hoping to accomplish with all this. Okay, so this is where we're cutting the hole through the outside of Jerry's shack. And our precise measuring, you can see marked out on the wall. And what I've done is I pre-drilled the corners.
With the slow motion.
That's going to allow me to take the jigsaw, make a nice clean cut all the way around.
The action shot.
Right.
Not real exciting stuff here, but figured some folks might like to see
Oh, and if you ever wonder what a hole saw looks like from the other way,
Yep. And here's where you can see where, oops. Okay, so one thing about these fish houses, now this is a manufactured fish house, and what they've done is they've put a vapor barrier around the outside, Tyvek. If anybody's familiar with house construction, Tyvek's a vapor barrier they put on the outside of a house. So they have that on the outside here, and if you look down in the hole, you can see a little flap of it right here. Okay, it's a fiberglass reinforced plastic that the whole purpose of that is so that moisture condensation isn't supposed to get between inside the wall, start rotting the wood out. Doing something like this, obviously it's impossible for us to go in, put that back together the way it is. Best thing that we have going for us right now is, well, not this piece of tape because I just screwed it up. But we have a whole roll of it here, but duct tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to seal that hole up with duct tape, fill the insulation, and then we'll be able to cap the inside of the wall and the outside of the wall and seal it up as best we can.
And there you can see with
On the inside of the wall,
with obviously being able to seal it up from the factory isn't exactly, it's not possible, not feasible without tearing some of the exterior siding off. But
right.
at least with the duct tape, we're getting it sealed back up somewhat, and pretty good job at least keeping a little bit of vapor barrier going there.
Yeah, and as Christy points out, handyman's best friend, right?
If you can fix it with duct tape and a pair of pliers,
right. If it needs to move and doesn't, WD-40.
Yeah.
If it moves but doesn't need to, duct tape.
Yep. Oh, and don't forget super glue.
And super glue and duct tape.
Wall. What I'm also going to be doing is I'm going to caulk around, and this is more for air, not to get through, but I'm going to caulk around the outside of the hole, and we just cut a little piece of plywood, put screws in because it's still not easy for a fat boy to get in there. Pre-drilled, put the screws in so that I can just set it up there and finish screwing it in nice and easy. So there, that's what we're doing here.
Ta-da!
After we got our holes
The crowd goes wild.
Just everything fit in place. We haven't securely mounted anything yet, but so far it looks to be a success. So when you come in here, we got the furnace mocked up in place. We got the shelf underneath it, securing it off the floor, and the holes are looking good. So now it's time to get everything secured down and then wired up. Got heat. So got everything installed, got the outside exhaust intake work all connected up. Still have the cover off here because I got to make a plenum. We're going to probably move this down over to there because what we're going to do is with these, they don't get a lot of air to the back of the shack. So we're actually going to take and
this might change yet.
A furnace duct out of cedar. We're going to insulate the back side of it so we're not losing all that heat out of the wall. But then duct this back will have a heat register here. We'll have one in the back. That way it more evenly distributes the heat through the house. And hopefully make it so this one doesn't have to get used at all, if maybe occasionally just to get the house warm initially.
Now there's potential to remove that heater completely, right? If everything's working.
Yeah, the furnace is definitely big enough to handle that shack without having that necessary.
Right. And I think the entertainment system is going to go there, which takes precedence over heat, in my opinion. But
now, one thing with this as well. Now, one question that I did get asked from the last episode that we didn't show was that why you have wood mounted right next to a hot furnace. Isn't that going to get hot as well? Well, they designed this so that it gets mounted next to wood. It's not a fire hazard. That's how they say to mount them. So
yeah, and even if you look at campers and things, they're set up similarly, built
Yep.
under cabinets, under shelves. That's just kind of how they're designed. So,
But yeah, first part of the project's done. We'll get the propane line hooked up here in just a bit and the thermostat. But project's going along nice.
finally getting around to fixing this for David. He, let's see, it's been all last season. It was like
All last season, yeah.
yeah. So it really.
So yeah. So essentially, you know, we talk about it getting rusty here, but it's metal. It's out in the elements. We were, you know, essentially hoisting it onto the truck. It snapped. Luckily, if you watch one of our videos on YouTube, we put a new jack system on there. So it's a jack that's removable. So even putting it down on the ice, we were able to still make it work for the last year. But I could never leave it hooked up to the truck.
And with that as well, let's see, when it sat out on the ice for that 6 weeks,
Yes.
there's a nice crack that happened near the shack. So the shack actually kind of sunk down a little bit into the ice where the shack pucks worked awesome. But we had to chisel a hole down underneath that tongue to get the jack in place.
Right.
Because we didn't have the ability to wench it up.
Correct. So needs to be replaced. And as you'll see, you know, if you're replacing the front, we figured might as well replace all three. There's one, you know, each wheel system has one, as well as the tongue jack here.
Yeah,
So,
because what year? How old is the shack?
put me on the spot here. I'm going to say 2012.
Okay, so and it's probably the original cable. It may have been replaced once, but it wears out,
Yeah.
rusts out.
So this is that process, how you go about replacing this.
Real awkward getting it off the ice sometimes, but so we're gonna fix that today. And these wear out. You know, you can see it gets rusty, they get weak, they start to fray. So we're gonna replace the cables on all the winches today, and just kind of walk you through how we're gonna do that. So to start with, these have a buckle underneath here, and these are all crimped on. So basically, just gonna cut the wire, get that off here, and then we'll be able to pull these pulleys out so we can wire everything through. Actually, we don't have to do that. It's not bad to grease these every now and then, though. But I think we can just put some spray on that. Spray this up as well. Well, time to get to work.
And OSHA, if you're watching, he's wearing safety glasses and ear safety. So
And notice a theme here. This is your shack. How come you're not working on it?
somebody's got to put the video together, Dutch. Also,
This is where Christy's comment comes in. Pulling out the WD-40, she says, we're trying something a little different here, but you can see even with the clutch in neutral, it's hard pull.
Now they've got a little caption bracket and a nut right there. We'll take that off, and we'll start to be able to feed the new stuff through.
Not real exciting watching somebody change cable, but it's
nice to see where to put the
Jump.
Get your mind out of the gutter, Dan.
All right, let's we'll spray this stuff down, and then we'll get the new cable started.
What do we use to spray that stuff down with?
Instead of using a penetrating lubricant, this is out in the weather.
And apologize, it was windy this day. I did do some filtering on the wind, but hopefully if you're not wearing headphones, it's not blowing your ears out. I tried my best here.
and then also this we've trying this product. Don't know if it's going to do any good. You'll see here in a little bit. It did a great job, at least it temporarily loosening everything up. But yeah, if you got a better idea, let us know.
I thought a liquid wrench was a torch.
That's a hot wrench.
That's a hot wrench.
Mhm.
Okay.
So this will hopefully have a little bit longer staying power. Just anything basically to get the contact point, some lubrication.
So any place that it moves is what you're saying. then,
Yeah.
Right.
Just should be part of basic maintenance every fall before.
Yeah, it's been a bit already.
Like butter.
Now, get a picture of the inside over here.
This is a problem I had with my shack when I first got it.
Okay, so on my winches, whoever had it before me had taken and replaced this at one point in time, and instead of using a proper rounded over bolt here, they had a big bolt head sticking out. And what it ended up doing is it kept fraying the cable as I'd take it in and out.
And
So
that's breaking the cable on me. Always.
Well, what I usually do, and you can see how I started this out, where I already had the lock here on the one end of the cable before I looped it through, and then I put it back through. I leave the nuts on. It's a little bit of a pain to get it as tight as you can up to the top here to make a nice little loop on it, but then you don't have to fight the nuts to get everything started.
Now, fighting the nuts, isn't that what they? Oh,
Isn't that like a Mexican video thing?
so we did get a comment here. As far as general maintenance, spraying things down, is it one of those things that you really should do, but everyone forgets to do it? Depends on who you are, but it does happen.
Yeah. A lot of times you don't mess with it until it starts to become a pain.
Right.
And really, yeah, you get a little shot in the fall and it works good.
Right.
Now I'll be putting another one of these on there as well. I like to run 2 of these, and I'll run one backwards
Or
from
not.
the other. I'll show you what I mean here in just a little bit.
People
So I'm going to get these tightened up.
compare.
There. And that's one cable replaced. Now just to wind it back up.
So you think you're on
Right now I'm currently standing on the other end of the cable. Just
What were you saying about I should be working on things?
here. Okay. Get Guinness. This should go into the record books. We got David here working on the shack with assistance.
to give it some tension.
Call me Dave IT for a reason.
Oh, back it off a little bit.
My foot was stuck.
Just one thing to talk about. This is not an endorsed stream or anything like that, but definitely recommend. Let me pull us up bigger screen here. So they do have nice things that they for winching your ice house up and down. Smoky Hills sells these easy up steel
Which is a good point.
bits.
Smoky Hills isn't endorsing us or anything, but a good place to go for these. They've got now I got mine. It's aluminum, and I like the steel version much better because the aluminum, if you don't have it on, as you can see, David there, if you don't have it on that hub just right, it'll slip off and auger a hole and round out the keyway on that thing.
Yep. So definitely recommend getting these. They're at goicefish.com. Once again, not sponsored. We just like their products.
Yep.
Okay.
But if they want to sponsor,
Yeah, get in touch with us if you're watching
So
this.
when you're towing it too, nobody ever told me this when I first started, but even with the tongue where it's locked in place good and you don't have any active suspension, this still does move around a little bit. So you do want a little bit of slack on this cable for towing. So I'm going to do it a little differently on this side.
I hauled my new flexible or my new drop axle trailer and snapped one of the cables on the back. It happens. Fortunately, it was just a trailer deck at the time, but
Yeah, better than the nice house, I guess.
and it still had the safety locks in place, but
Right. So yeah, we're gonna move on. We're just showing you one of the sides, for the wheel system, as far as getting this to drop up and down. How are we gonna replace that? So
On the front, where we had the clamp and make that loop in place, that anchor point is welded on. This one here, we just have the shaft coming through. So to make it easier on ourselves, we're going to pull that little cotter pin there out, get the shaft out of here, then we can get everything put together out of there, make our loop in the cable first, slide this through, and work on it out here instead of in there. Okay, so like I mentioned, we had driving this thing over here, had a nasty sound to it. That's not a bearing, so that's something in the brakes.
So with that, I was driving this back from down south, was pulling into the storage area here, and yeah, was not making very good sounds out of the tire.
No.
So we knew it was on the list of things to do here. So this is us taking that wheel off and figuring out what's
We
going
actually
on.
did a intro video on what we were going to do to the shack, but it got overlooked here somehow. So that's what I was referring to, that part, but it happens.
He's just crazy. That's all that is.
There's something clunking in there too. So in order to get the drum off here, you got the spindle nut, and then the whole assembly comes off. The spindle nut's what's holding the brake drum in place. Then we can find out what's going on. So Dave IT can buy some parts.
Woohoo!
Okay, so we found the noise. We got a broken part there. This is for your electronic brakes for the trailer. And pads are fairly worn as well. Probably the easiest way to fix this is going to be, not sure, I got to tear a little more apart. I know you can buy just the whole assembly, which goes on pretty quick and easy, but we'll see. Okay, so
before we move on to that, off of that, one thing that I was surprised to see is that the brake backer, it is actually welded on to that tilt arm. And so with a lot of them, you can buy the whole assembly, the drum, the brakes, everything included. Well, if you're going to do that with this one, you haven't gotten the parts yet, have you?
I know some of those words. No, I haven't yet. Working on getting the parts for that, but
so buy the whole assembly, but probably not going to be able to use the backer on there because it, like I said, it's welded to that arm.
Yeah, so still figuring out that portion. That'll be later. So, like Dan mentioned, we did have kind of an intro of what we're going to work on here. That's my mistake.
So before we get into this next segment, okay, so I'll kind of tell you about what we did in the original intro for this. With these shacks, they use an RV door, okay, aluminum frame, lightweight aluminum door, not a lot of hefty material in there. Well, over the years with this shack, you're out on the ice, the wind grabs it, it slams it open and rips. For one, you can see on there the spring that hangs down, rips out of its mounts. Almost all of them, you see that it's got extra screw holes in there where they've moved the screw holes to get a better bite on the door. What they also do, and when you open the door, if you look up in the upper corners of the jamb, you will see, like on this one, where it's actually physically cracked.
And the siding, the outside siding gets cracked there.
Yep, on the inside hinge corner on the top, it's cracked so bad that it has actually split the siding about 4 inches tall.
Right.
And so what we're looking to do here is eliminate the small door. And you can see that thing comes up to about my nose.
Yeah, Dan and I are both 6'3". We've banged our head a lot of times. Christy makes a good point right here. That's how we feel in a lot of these shacks. Is it's a door for ants. Like
Yep.
I think you've had a concussion from that. Lost some brain cells. It definitely wasn't the Dak Daniels, but
So let's go into this next segment and talk a little bit more there. This is one of the part that I was most interested in. In the Dutch hut, I put in an actual physical steel exterior house door. And I assumed, as you'll see, we found out it's actually true, that these are basically small homes with wood construction and everything. So I think that should give us a good intro into what we're doing here.
Go ahead and get into that here.
For the next project, we're going to get started on taking the trim off this door, seeing what it's going to take to actually replace this thing. Like you saw, our plan is to cut this out up here, put a taller door in, but really want to see how the construction underneath this is. So we'll get the trim off, we'll get these boards off of here, and go from there.
And this is cedar. You want to be gentle with it, not just stick your hammer underneath there and start wrenching on it. And actually, putting the hammer in there, but I'm not wrenching that hard. It's actually just pulling on it pretty easy.
Yeah, the trim was all pretty easy to get off. You see it's off the door.
Okay, so learning a little bit about how they put together these shacks. These panels here, I'm guessing that they put the outside this paneling in, little tongue and groove cedar. Put this in before they put any of the cabinetry or anything in. These seem to run the whole length, which basically what we're going to be doing to make sure that, and I'm sure that the exhaust hood, everything's going to be tucked behind there. So it'll be a little more involving. I'm going to want to try to get a few of these panels off and then evaluate. More than likely not going to have to take any of these side ones off. Those should be able to stay in place, because if you look here, proper construction, you've got your cripple in with your header going over the top of that. So
on the aluminum frame.
we should be able to just get in here, raise the header up, and go from there. But we're going to take these down to get there.
Like I talked a lot.
So what we're going to do is make a small cut back here,
It wasn't even drinking
so we
yet.
can get these 4 panels off. That's, I think, all we're going to have to do is just take these 4 pieces off there. And then the cut that I put here, we'll be able to cover it back up when we put that trim piece back on.
Well, Christopher Walken style. What we're going to do is so I want you to bring up what tool you're using here, and we'll answer this question.
This is an oscillating saw. The new cool tool in the lineup that I've got works awesome here, because I just wanted to cut in a 1/4 inch. This is only 1/4 inch thick cedar, and this allows me very precise cuts in there. Now, also, we got a question that it's a standard width door, not standard height. And yeah, it's a standard. They call it a 2.6 door or 30-inch door, and so the width is standard, but most definitely, chin high door isn't the right height.
That's I get asked that a lot. Is that with standard? And I say, yep, that's pretty standard. Then the Jerbear says a chainsaw would be more fun. We'll keep that in mind for the 2.4 there. Jerbear.
Yep.
Put the audio down to people's ears. Right?
Some exciting stuff here. But that tool does work really nice. It real precise.
I'm holding on the door here because make sure we can see this all properly. But what we got is just as I suspected. It's just standard home construction style 2x3s. But it'll be real easy for us to get this header out of here and move everything up. We'll have to deal with the siding anchors that are underneath here, but we'll be able to cut that without damaging the exterior siding. Be able to move this up, and then once it's in place and we get our exact dimension in, we'll be able to take and cut the outside siding so it's nice and smooth. So yeah, this is going to work out pretty good. The only problem that we have is I was hoping that we could get by with an 80-inch, standard 80-inch house door, exterior door.
And
80
now,
inches.
when I say 80-inch there, I mean 80-inch tall. Standard house door is 80-inch tall. And, but, yeah.
I hope we don't need an 80-inch wide door. That's going to be an issue.
Not yet.
Not yet, anyway. Keep cooking like we do up there. We might. But
Puts us right here. So, leaves no room for a jam or anything. So we're not going to be able to do that. We'll find a little bit shorter door. But it'll still be a lot better than what we're getting here. We're going to try for a 74-inch door.
76, right?
76-inch door. And here you can see this is how they fasten the exterior siding. They just use staples to go into here. So it'll be real easy to cut through those without damaging the exterior siding. But yeah, so far it's going pretty smooth.
Okay. So scare you too much by tearing your shack apart?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm nervous. My wife is watching live here, and so I'm sure she's seeing it and going, but you know, it is what it is. I trust you somewhat. I don't know.
Too late now. You have to.
Yeah, no, it's
No, I assumed that's how they were built. I've never taken a shack apart like this, but I didn't see any other way that they were able to do it. So now one thing that you may have noticed in that clip is that the very top piece of trim I didn't take off. They actually glued and nailed that one on. So I would have pretty much destroyed it to get it off. We can find that same style paneling, but it would color wouldn't quite match. It's aged a little bit. So and I don't think anybody noticed up there anyway, but
it's got a good patina.
Yeah. Say, well, we got this moment. No, is there anything else you wanted to talk about the door?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be looking at options. I mean, the biggest thing was just getting a regular sized door so we could stop banging our head on the ceiling. So
now with that, now I have inquired on getting a door for that 76, 74 inch door. We're looking at basically a trailer home size door ish. These doors are steel exterior construction. They do have wood cores put around the perimeters, like where your doorknob and your deadbolt is, or whatever the verbiage is there. Also on the bottom, on the sill, inside the door, there is wood core there also. But we would have to take about 6 inches out of this door. We still can do it and then put in a wood core in the bottom. It's a little more tricky because once you get past the wood, it's all spray foamed in. But we may end up doing that just for cost measures. We can get them custom built to that height. Depends on how deep Dave's wallet is right now. So
not real deep. If you guys, want to start a GoFundMe for the door, just kidding. We don't need that, but
go beer me.
I like that. You buy the beer, then I can spend that money elsewhere. Right?
There you go. Yep. If you guys have any ideas about the door, if there's a better place where I can get a door for, or he can get a door for his shack.
You just offered to buy it, I think.
No, I just offered.
You heard that?
Yeah, he's going to let me use the credit card. So. But
sure, yours.
Yeah, let me know because what I'm doing, just hitting the lumberyard and seeing what they can do for us.
Absolutely.
Now, one thing with that too, and we're going to show this as well, is getting the door without an exterior frame. We'll be building that. David's going to get to do some grinding, some welding.
Hopefully not the dance move. No one wants to see that.
Yeah, we'll do the grind followed by the worm. He's a hell of a break dancer. I've seen him break a few things.
He was born in 1906, so he doesn't know what grinding is as far as the dance goes, but that's okay.
While we have this opportunity, want to give a shout out to the crowd out in Washington. We got Greg and Amy sent me this awesome. Let's see, where's that? There it is. This awesome T-shirt. Hang on, show you the back here.
Don't trip. You need your walker?
Oh. Yep. So,
okay, hold on.
Can you see that? There we go.
Yep. Get the F off my back.
Okay, hands up. They tend to slip down sometimes. But yeah. Thanks, Greg and Amy. Awesome shirt, awesome cap. Hi to Kyra, Donovan, Jan. Cheers.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Tune in next week. We'll be continuing on.
So next week, we may or may not be finishing the
fishing already.
Fishing.
I don't have a wheel in my house, man.
May or may not be finishing the duct work. I think we will be. Finish that up, get the furnace completely up and running.
Yep.
And then try to get at least the wheel back on yours and maybe even start in on the Dutch hut.
Yeah, we have one more cable on mine too. We didn't plan for enough. Let's talk about that real quick. How much? So when we bought cable for the front part of my shack and the first wheel, you were figuring 22.
I figured 22 foot would take care of all of it.
Right.
Now, a couple winds on the winch. Surprising. So the cable that was on there, and you want to have enough wind on there so that the cable will wrap around itself and kind of cinch around itself and lock itself tight. It was 6 foot. of cable that was total there, and we just replaced what was existing. Now, one thing with that, our where we got the cable was out of 1/4 inch, which was the replacement size. We went one size larger with 5/16, and I did have to clearance a couple things to get the 5/16 to fit, but it works. A little heavier duty.
Now it should never snap.
We could have went with stainless. We did go with galvanized though. Pretty inexpensive, but it's just one of those things. If you have a fish house that's got any age to it at all, those cables start to fray. And yeah, need replacing.
Yep. So yeah, we'll be finishing that up, and then you one of the plans for the Dutch hut is a bed lift.
We've
right?
got yeah. So been doing some research, watching some folks on YouTube here that have put together some bunk lifts in cargo trailers, toy haulers, things of that nature. Some really cool designs out there. One I like probably the most that I'm going to be changing some things up on, but Bill Ellison has a video out there. Very simple design. I'm going to complicate it a little bit more. I'm going to include an electric motor, add a couple extra pulleys, and a location system on it. But if you've ever seen some of these nice bunk lifts that they have in the new fish houses, to get that kit, the only one that I was able to find the other day were in kit form with all the actuators, the controllers, everything was $1,800.
Canadian or American?
That's American.
American dollars.
Yeah. So like what, 2,800 or something? Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever
probably.
Canadian current. Yeah. But
If anyone's Canadian watching, let us know what the conversion is there.
but
1,800.
yeah, with that, they I don't right now. I bought a few parts for it. I think we're going to be under $150 easy to build a bunk lift and be nice and secure, be able to lock it in place. And we're going to test it out with a Jer Bear. He gets the first ride.
All right.
So
He's probably game for that as long as it's not his shack, I guess.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and then just a couple other things. I mean, we have lots of plans. We'll be going through them, but also designing a table lift. You know, if you've ever been in one of these ice castle fish houses, you know that the table pretty heavy, kind of a chore to get up and down into bed form. So we
Did we tell them about Diggs?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. So I've actually built one of these. Me and Diggs did for his shack. And shout out Diggs if you're watching. With his shack, it's okay. So standard ice castle, you got your camper style table, 3 legs underneath it, and you pull them out.
How do you walk with 3 legs?
It's more of yeah. I'll show you later.
Okay.
But so the 3 legs that are underneath it, you lift the table up, take the legs out, set the table down, you make it into a bed. And just like standard camper, same thing.
Yeah.
Well, his had been in the down position for 2 years
I think at least
because he physically could not, because they come with shorter legs to put it back in there. So it has some center support underneath the bed, and he physically could not get it up. It took us, we put a floor jack in there.
that blue pill didn't help him with that either.
I didn't ask.
Oh, okay.
I didn't ask to pop that thing out of there. So we built a table lift for him. There's table lifts out there for sale, and I just didn't like any of the designs. So after a few glasses of Smart Juice, came up with a different design, and it's actually very stable. Works awesome.
And you push a button and it goes up and down, which is the beauty for me. So
yep. And so we're going to be doing that to Camp David.
Mhm.
Putting that in his. Then when we get over to the Dutch hut, even though I built everything the way I liked it, it needs modifications.
yeah, we're gonna put the shack pucks are on mine. We've talked about putting them on. Once again, see those at barelyfishing.com. Great solution. And we'll be putting those on yours, kind of, and
Yep.
going through that process. So
And if you watched the last video, we did start decorating the Barely Fishing 2.0, 2.42.
2.4,
So, yeah.
2.7. I don't know
Yeah.
anymore.
And so you see in the back here, We've got some more of our shack plaques, we call them,
Mhm.
and also available at verilyfishing.com.
Yep.
Don't have all those up there, but some are custom made for friends, things of that nature. And if you have an idea, let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. And Solo Cup koozies, the likes. We got to give ourselves a plug here, I guess. But for those that have watched, definitely appreciate it. Once again, we'll be putting an announcement out for the next live video.
We're going to try to do this every week. We're planning on getting a lot more accomplished for the next video, and try to do this every week until fishing season. Then we'll start showing some fishing videos.
Sounds good. All right, you guys rock.